Good afternoon. I'm Shelley Shockley, and I am the co-chair of the City of Cleveland Black History Month Committee. And on behalf of Mayor Frank G. Jackson and Executive Director Grady L. Stevenson, I welcome you all to the city's 2020 Black History Month celebration. We are opening this month today with you all in attendance. Thank you for being here. This month, we are celebrating the empowerment of a people and the right to vote. Today, we welcome a delegation from Ghana, West Africa. I offer you my personal welcome, and I thank you for coming to Cleveland, to this event, and for us giving us the privilege to honor you today. Each year, we seek to educate on the past, showcase the future, and promote our present. As the prolific Maya Angelou said, "I have great respect for the past. If you don't know where you've come from, you don't know where you're going. I have respect for the past, but I'm a person of the moment. I'm here, and I do my best to be completely centered at the place I'm at. Then I go forward to the next place. Today, I ask each of you to center yourselves here in this space and enjoy this celebration of our history, our future, and our present. Thank you. Now I bring to you Director Grady L. Stevenson.
Before I come, I'm going to ask Kimberly Johnson to come, and she's going to bless us with our Black National Anthem. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes.
Would everyone please stand? And feel free to look in your program and sing with me. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you, Kimberly, and thank you to Cleveland Color Guard. Good afternoon. Today I stand here a proud African, celebrating our history, our present, and our future. It is indeed a great day today. As I sit and I look out over the audience and I see some familiar faces and some new faces, knowing that Mayor Frank Jackson, the 56th mayor of the city of Cleveland, has allowed us to come in this space to celebrate a great people. So I would like for you now to pause and just give yourselves a great round of applause for being here today. I would be remiss if I didn't start off by thanking some key people. Just first of all, for allowing this event to take place. To all of our sponsors, thank you from the start. Thank you so much for what you do. Would you please give them a round of applause? To Mayor Jackson, thank you, sir, for allowing us this space and this opportunity to celebrate such a great people. Would you give him a round of applause? To my chief, Chief Tracy Martin Thompson, thank you so much, Chief, for allowing the Department of Community Relations to move in the way that you have given us the freedom to move. So thank you so much for what you do. To our Black History Committee, and I know you're scattered all over the room, thank you for all of the hard work that you put forth to make sure that this event is a great event and that we celebrate in a way in which we should celebrate our heritage. So thank you so much to the Black History Committee. To my board, I have plenty of my board members here today. To the Community Relations Board that's sitting there at the Community Relations table, thank you for allowing me to do and move in a way that a director of a department such as the Community Relations would be able to express the freedom of a people the way that you give me. So thank you very much for all that you do to support the work that we do. I'd like to thank City Council for being here today. Thank you to all of City Council for being in the room today. Thank you very much. Would you all give them a round of applause? Most of all, I'd like to give our guests a round of applause. This is the first time that I've ever seen that we have had a delegation such as we have today to grace us here in this City Hall Rotunda to celebrate our heritage, to kick off Black History Month, and to share with us their vision for Ghana in Africa and all of the land that we are here to learn about throughout this month in Africa. So would you put your hands together and let's give the Kings and the delegation a great round of applause. Come on, you can do better than that. They came across the water to share with us today and to be in this event. So thank you. Thank you. I think you will find that this Black History Month will be one of the greatest celebrations that we've ever had here in the city of Cleveland. I am truly anxious. I am looking forward to all of the things that we have planned, but most of all, I'm looking forward to hearing from our kings. I'm looking forward to hearing the direction and the plan that they have for us here in this country and also in Africa. I'm looking to hear some great information from them, and if you can, come and be a part of our Q&A session that we'll have with them later on at the Karamu House at 6 o'clock. So please, if you can come be a part of it. To all of my colleagues, to all the directors in the House, thank you so much for supporting us and always being that support that I need to make sure that I'm headed in the right direction. So to all the rest of our guests, I want to say thank you. We could not do what we do without you. And so thank you for your love, thank you for your support, thank you for being here today, and God bless you.
Thank you, Director Stevenson. At this time, I would like to bring to the podium Reverend Tracy Halton, pastor of Christ Temple Apostolic Faith Church. She will be,
Hold on for a minute. Let's get
he not here, is he?
Council President.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's a long day. It's been a long month, and this is only the third day. I'm sorry, Council President. I did not mean to forget you. We will bring forward Council President Kevin Kelly to give us his welcome, followed by the invocation and the blessing of the food. I haven't seen Mr. Lucas. Oh, I didn't see him. I'm sorry. Followed by Reverend Lucas, who will bring remarks from the Community Relations Board.
It's all good. I was only sitting right next to you. It's okay. But I want to recognize my colleagues that are with us today. Councilman Blaine Griffin, Councilman Kerry McCormick, Councilman Matt Zone, thanks for being here. Anybody else that I missed? Okay. Well, thank you for being here. It's an honor to give welcoming remarks at the beginning of Black History Month, and I want to welcome our guests that are here today. And I've done this for a few years, and normally I reflect upon some of the great cultural and political achievements of the African American community that brought us here today and built this community. But this being the year that it is, this being an election year, and this being 2020, I couldn't help but spend some extra time thinking about the fact that we are here today on the 150th anniversary of the ratification of the 150th Amendment. Excuse me, the 15th Amendment. There's not 150 yet. But as you look back on history, I think one theme that comes forth is we're here to celebrate. Looking back on history, we can never let celebration give way to complacency. 150 years ago today, the 15th Amendment was ratified, and it was followed by celebrations. It was followed by 16 formerly enslaved persons becoming members of Congress. It was followed by over 2,000 formerly enslaved people becoming local and state office holders, elected to office, and things were going well. So what could go wrong? Well, it wasn't long thereafter where people started looking for workarounds to this right to vote. It wasn't too far after that we saw poll taxes, that we saw literacy taxes, tests, and we saw outright violence and intimidation. And this was part of our history that took place after the 15th Amendment. It wasn't until the courage of many people, activists, marchers, and politicians, where the Voter Rights Act of 1965 was passed, that finally, in the law, prohibited discrimination based on race. Following that, what could go wrong, right? We're there. We're where we need to be. We've put this right into law. It's an amendment of the Constitution. It's a part of the Voter Rights Act. What could go wrong next? Well, it wasn't long thereafter until we looked at voter suppression. We looked at what's going on today. We're looking at the ID requirements. We're looking at a society where voter suppression is common. We're looking at restriction of early vote. We're looking at every way that we can restrict people's vote, not looking how we can expand. Cleveland, the great city of Cleveland, is in the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio took a case to the Supreme Court called the voter suppression case. And guess what? The Supreme Court said, that's cool. The Supreme Court said, if you don't fill out a form or you miss an election every 4 years, you are no longer eligible to vote. I don't know about you, I don't return those forms. And it's very easy for many people to miss an election. So this was a way of suppressing the vote. It was called the suppression case. What happened? 5-4, the Supreme Court said Ohio's law is reasonable. If you don't turn this form back, you can't vote. If you miss a presidential election and don't turn this form in, you can't vote. What do you do with this? Well, you look at, there is hope, there is inspiration. Writing for the minority, Justice Sonia Sotomayor noted that this voter suppression act, it disproportionately affected minority communities. There was a survey done that this scrubbed in some cities in Ohio 10% of the African American rolls, where it only scrubbed 4% in the white suburbs. It was obvious what this is doing. That is why while we're here today, while we're here to celebrate, and we have to keep celebrating our accomplishments, it can never give way to complacency. With this election coming up, yes, it's 150 years since the ratification of the 150th Amendment, but do we really think that all of our citizens have an equal right to vote? And if we don't, it's up to all of us to come together to make sure that our citizens exercise the right that was granted to them 150 years ago and furthered by the Voter Rights Act of 1965. Again, celebrate, but never let celebration give way to complacency. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Council President. At this time, we're going to hear from my board co-chair, Reverend Charles Lucas. Thank you, Reverend Lucas. At this time, we're going to have our invocation from Tracy Hamilton. She's going Halton, I'm sorry. And I'm taking your place now. And to bless our food, so.
Good afternoon, everyone. If every head could be bowed. Dear Father God, we come before your throne of grace in the name of Jesus. We welcome you into this place, Father God. We ask that you bless the food that we're about to receive for the nourishments of our body, Father God. We ask that you bless the hands that prepared it. And we're so ever grateful to thank you for it. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
At this time, I would like to welcome Dr. Yvonne Pointer to the stage. She is going to give an introduction of our keynote speaker, but then lunch will be served. Yes, they are. Come on.
Y'all don't know I'm retired. I don't have to take instructions. Anyway, I'm so honored to be here. Certainly, I give honor to God. Hey, Stephen. And so, what I wanted to do, they said my connection to Ghana as I introduced the speaker. On December 6, 1984, many of you know my daughter Gloria was raped and murdered, and 29 years before her case was solved. But it was during that time that I was always praying for more to do. And when I received a letter from a boy in Ghana extending sympathy for my daughter's homicide, I was really surprised because I had no connection with Ghana whatsoever. But what we did, we connected with him. That letter that he sent to us ended up with me traveling to Ghana, West Africa over 3 times. And the first time I went, I have to tell you, I cried like a baby. When I saw the little children and I came back home and I said to God, what is it that you want me to do here? You see, as a little girl growing up in the city of Cleveland, I always knew that I was connected some way to my history and to civil rights because I love Dr. King and different things. And so God says, I want you to build a school. How am I going to build a school in Ghana when I was working for the city of Cleveland? Hint, hint, right, direct councilman. I don't have any money. But God in his infinite wisdom worked it out. And not only have we built the one school in the village that I'm going to talk about, but we've gone on to build 3 additional ones. And so I say that, yes, to God be the glory. Okay. I'm introducing our speaker, but he's going to, after lunch, take the podium, okay? So when you say, Dr. Pointer, how are you connected with Ghana? How are you building schools? How are you doing all of this? And certainly it's by God's grace and our keynote speaker. I didn't know anything about it. I was so blind and going through the process, but then God, in his infinite wisdom, connected me with our amazing speaker, who I have to tell you has served as my mentor. I don't really do anything without talking to him first. And I think he is a man of great wisdom and highly respected. Dr. Qua David Whitaker, Esquire. And if I mispronounce some of the words, pray for me. Dr. Qua David Whitaker, co-facilitator of Alchemy's in-service and training workshop, is a practicing family therapist, an attorney at law, and the founder, president of the Ashe Cultural Center in Cleveland, Ohio. Dr. Whitaker holds a JD from the Cleveland Marshall College of Law, a PhD in educational psychology from Case Western Reserve University. He is smart, and a post-MA from the Case Western Reserve University, post-MA school psychology certification through John Carroll University. Dr. Whitaker has also been formally initiated into the Akan system of life cycle development, African-based rites of passage, and is tutoring, is that right? legal counsel to the chief of Anthem, a village in Ghana, West Africa, where he is responsible for building a 2-story community center, the first of its kind. Dr. Whitaker's book, Rites of Passage Foundation, A Journey of Transformation, has been released. So as soon as lunch is served, we're going to welcome Dr. Whitaker to the podium. Thank you.
I thought it might be helpful for me to talk while the meal is going, because there's a need to have a little clarification for the edification of the group. There was serving of food attempted for the chiefs, which we refer to as nananon, so more than one chief. But it's a taboo for chiefs to eat in public. So it's not an elitist kind of thing, or it's not a rejection of the food, but it's one of our taboos that chiefs do not eat in public. And once I was in stools, I inquired, why was that? Because my impression was the chiefs were trying to be elitist. And so they didn't want to be eating with common people, so to speak. But I later found out and came to understand that, and it's relevant to what I want to talk about, so I thought it would be good to give that clarification at the same time that you're eating, and it'll be fine. I found out that a chief is supposed to be and supposed to reflect the embodiment of perfection that a community has developed. So it was explained to me the last thing you want to see from a chief eating in public is the chief dropping food all over his clothes, dropping things on the floor, tripping over himself, which would not live up to the model that the chief is the embodiment of the perfection that you'd like to see. So to avoid embarrassment and tarnishment of your image, chiefs eat in private, where it's okay to drop your food on yourself, because nobody else notices it. So I want to thank Yvonne Pointer for that very special introduction. If I didn't know Yvonne, I would think she was talking about someone else other than me. I also want to mention, because we have a proverb that's become a cliche, it takes a village to raise a child. But when you go to any African village or Ghanaian village, you see that phrase operationalized every day in front of you. So you know it's not something that was made up just for the purpose of having some interesting thing to say. I want to also thank Pastor Tracy Halton, because we all work together in the village where Yvonne has built her school, which is only about 1 mile from the dungeon that was just mentioned. Tracy Halton is responsible, and her congregation is responsible for 75 students every day having hot meals, because she built a kitchen to support Yvonne's school. So every day, young people eat hot food because Tracy Halton's congregation was kind and generous enough to give money and build a kitchen. So I'd like to back up 1 second and say appreciations to Mayor Jackson, Council President Kelly, Community Relations Chair Lucas, all the elected officials that are present, the Amonhin and Nananon, program facilitators that may be in attendance, Cleveland residents that may be here, invitees, other guests, and visitors. I just returned from Ghana yesterday. I left Ghana on Saturday night at midnight. I flew all night, arrived in JFK at 6 a.m., sat in the airport all day until 3 p.m., took a flight and arrived here last night about 6 o'clock. So, needless to say, I'm a little bit jet-lagged and tired, but I wouldn't pass up an opportunity like this that probably only comes once in my lifetime. So I'm honored and humbled by the opportunity to assist in hosting this important Ghanaian delegation to Cleveland and participate in their goodwill tour of the United States as they try to build relationships, share their information and knowledge about protocols, discuss things that will be of interest to Ghanaians in particular and all Pan-African people in general. I'm also a little bit embarrassed to say that I didn't know what a keynote speaker actually is. So with the benefit of Google, I took the opportunity to do a little research on what is a keynote, period, and how does it apply to a speaker. I learned this morning that the keynote is the note in which music is played if it's featuring a certain key. So, and then the rest of the music is built around that key. So as it applies to the keynote speaker, generally the keynote speaker is the person that sets the tone for a conference or some activity. And to be honest with you, I had no idea what the activity was supposed to be here. So I selected for my remarks the presentation that's going to be in the key of F major, which will stand for full freedom, finally, and forever. I'm also feeling the need to commend whoever it is that suggested or nominated, or maybe there were no other takers, and that's the reason I'm here, because I consider that a pretty courageous act to ask someone to be a keynote speaker when you have no idea what they might say. So I could say anything. First, I'd like to say in the Fanti language for our guests, Akwabo Memoaha and Wompome. That is greetings, good afternoon, and how are you? Typically, I speak contemporaneously, but since this is such an important occasion, I felt compelled to make a few notes. And I thought time would be short, which I've tried to correct by giving you time to eat, so it gives me more time to talk. Given our climate of political correctness, almost a fixation of political correctness, I'm compelled to share another very simple yet powerful Fante phrase, which is mi paucho. Mi paucho is a phrase that is used before you say anything as an apology in case you said the wrong thing. So you apologize even before you start talking. So if someone says, well, that wasn't right, well, I apologize up front. So I'm going to say one more time, mi paucho. In the event I say something that is incorrect, it's inaccurate, or ill-advised, or otherwise inappropriate. But I can't imagine that happening because I promised myself I'd stay on my best behavior, but anything could happen. In the short time I have, I want to do three things. First, I want to tell a couple short stories about my mother and my grandmother, in that order, who passed respectively at 69 and 99. Second, I'd like to provide some simple comparisons to differentiate Western thinking and doing and African thinking and doing, or more specifically, Akan thinking and doing. And finally, I'd like to make an appeal for our collective future. The Akan have proverbs for everything. And one of the proverbs is that he who knows proverbs can solve all arguments. So there's a proverb that we use that says an elephant, no matter how big, if you try to put it in a room, the tail will always stick out. So the phrase we use, the elephant in the room, is really supported by traditional proverbs that talk about these things. So I may mention some elephants in rooms, and it may not be so pleasant. So I would practice one more time, mi paucho. I'd be remiss not to mention the significant event that took place last night, at least significant to millions of people. It appears that the Kansas City Chiefs, after 50 years, won a Super Bowl. Now, that brings to my mind that after 50 years, they finally achieved something they were interested in for a long, long time. It would be my suggestion and hope that in their celebration and all the hoopla over this victory, that they might consider doing something with the logo for the Kansas City Chiefs. And they might consider correcting something related to the indigenous people that has helped them in ways to achieve that accomplishment. I'd like to go further and say that there may be some things that we are interested in achieving too. As African American people and others, we might be happy to achieve in 2020 full American citizenship and not be an amendment. To the non-known, I would like to suggest that the African nations in 2020 would very much like to receive their full independence from the former colonizers too. So let me tell a story about my mom. My mom, who passed at 69, always had some crazy notion that I would go to college. But every conversation I had in high school with a counselor said that I was not college material. And I only knew material to be in the form of fabric or lumber or something, and to me that meant that there was nothing that college could make out of me. That was my interpretation of not college material. But my mother was determined. I thought she was even crazy because she hadn't gone to college. She hadn't graduated. Nobody else in my family had ever graduated, so none of us were college material in my mind, so why would I be college material? So this puzzled me, so I finally asked my mother one day, I said, "Ma, why do you want me to go to college so bad?" She said, "Well, son, if you go to college and you graduate, people will invite you to talk." I said, "Why would they do that?" She said, "Well, people that go to college, other people think they're smart and they want to hear what they have to say." So I said, "Well, if I go to college and I graduate and somebody asks me to talk, what should I do?" And she told me something I didn't understand at the moment, but I understand full well now. She said, "Son, if you go to college and graduate and somebody asks you to come talk, you do more than talk. You say something. We have a whole bunch of people running around talking all the time that aren't saying anything. So I'm hoping that I not only talk, but I actually say something." My grandmother's story that I like to share with you, there were many, but the one I want to share with you is really germane to what I want to talk about. The time was 1965. And my grandmother was 65 years old because she was born in 1900. And I was 21 at the time. I was born in Auburn, Alabama, and we would go visit her every summer growing up. As I became a little bit more aware of Jim Crow and the racial circumstances in the country, I would go with her to downtown Auburn, which would be like walking across the street in Cleveland. You'd be downtown. And downtown Auburn with my grandmother was an interesting experience because when I walked with her, we didn't have to vacate the sidewalk when we saw whites coming from the other direction. And that was a standard practice. If you were walking and you encountered whites coming from the other direction, your role as an African American person, Negro at the time, was to vacate the sidewalk, wait for them to go by, and then you could continue. So I asked my grandmother about this, and she not only didn't have to vacate the sidewalk, but she could stop people on the street. She was a seamstress, a very popular one and very respected. She would stop people on the sidewalk and on the streets that she didn't even know. And she would stop them, and if it was a lady, she would say, "Child, plaids and stripes don't go together." She'd stop a man and say, "You know, that zipper you have, that's not stitched properly, or that hem is not done to the right length." And these would all be people that I couldn't imagine how she could talk to like this. So I asked her about it, and she told me what's the lead in to this, the reason for this story. I said, "Grandma, how can you do what you do when you meet people that you don't know?" I was named after my father, so she always called me David Jr. So she said, "David Jr., I'm 65 years old. I'm not looking for any job, and I don't need no new friends. So that allows me to simply tell the truth. And whatever people feel about it, so be it." So I'm 11 years older than my grandmother was at the time she gave me that information. So as I stand here today, I'm not doing a job interview. I'm not looking for a new position. I'm not trying to earn new friends. So I'm free, just like my grandmother. I'm free to tell you just what I think will be important to be said at this time, whether or not you like it. So I think it's all about truth, really. And the truth be told, the current U.S. political reality show called The Presidency, in my mind, is winding up its latest episode called The Unimpeachable. And it's revealing to the entire world that truth has been banned from every meeting. Truth has been redacted from all publications. Truth has been expelled from any conversation, ignored if it's seen, denied if it's heard, when at the same time, the truth is just as clear as a freshly Windexed window. I believe it's all about rights and wrongs. And we all know right from wrong. You don't even have to teach a child right from wrong. Every person is born encoded with the ability to know right from wrong. Actually, all developed nations espouse rights. We have civil rights, property rights, marital rights, the right of free speech, a woman's right to choose, the right of free assembly, the right of religious freedom, the right to vote, and let's not forget those 4 critical rights that are most pertinent to black people. 1, you have the right to remain silent. 2, you have the right to an attorney, and if you can't afford one of your own, we'll appoint you one of ours. 3, you have the right to accept the coerced plea bargain offered by the criminal injustice system. And finally, you have the right to serve excessive periods of incarceration based on questionable application of mandatory sentencing requirements. Mysteriously, with all these rights, the self-proclaimed great nations seem to be in an accelerating free fall. In an effort to slow their decline, they threaten to drag the rest of the world with them into what history will certainly describe as a mammoth abyss and into a cesspool of rights that obviously went wrong. Juxtaposed with our rights, the Akan have a simple phrase. I may mispronounce it. Nana Noam will correct me if I do. Asodzi. Asodzi. I got the thumbs up, so I actually did okay. Asodzi means responsibilities, duties, and obligations. So the Akan don't believe in rights like we believe in rights for citizens. They believe and espouse, and young people and children are socialized based on the understanding of having responsibilities, duties, and obligations as a human being. So just take, for example, I want to make sure I don't lose what I'm saying. So just take what we consider the freedom of speech, which seems to permit in our freedom of speech the ability to say anything you want to say, true or false, about anybody you want to say it to, whether it's deserved or not, and there's no consequence for that. So imagine if that was not rights of free speech like we have it, but you had a duty, obligation, and responsibility. What if you had a responsibility to speak with humility as a human being? You had a duty to bring honor to your family, to your community, to your siblings, to the people in your clan or the nation. And you had the duty to uphold the visions of your ancestors. And you had a duty to do things that needed to be done in order to move people forward. It would be much better than the right to say whatever you want to say, to me, if you had a duty to do the right thing. You had an obligation to do the appropriate thing. And you had a responsibility to do the helpful thing. One of the things that people experience most when they go to Ghana that's shocking to them is you can go to Ghana to a marketplace where there's maybe 5,000 people shopping, and there are no police. You can go to a sporting event, there might be 10,000 people. There may be 2 police officers, but they're only there to take someone to get emergency treatment if something happens to them. They're not there to control the crowd. You can go around every day in Ghana for months, and you can count on one hand the number of police officers that you see. But in a country that may have 70% unemployment, the annual income might be $3,000. But people don't steal from you. You don't get knocked in the head to take your purse. So we have to ask ourselves, how is it that people that by our standards don't have anything at all can manage themselves without police? I propose that if you grow up with an understanding of duty, responsibilities, and obligations, you don't need the police. The people police themselves. Everyone knows the rules, everyone follows the protocols, and everybody gets along. Now, are there problems? Of course there are. 28 million people, there's bound to be conflicts. But it's not anything like what we see on our news as a steady diet of difficulty, aggravation, discord, drama, killings, injuries. There's nothing like that. So that's just one example. Of all the duties that I think are important, I want to touch on one special duty that I actually was introduced to right down the street at Cleveland Marshall College of Law. It's the duty of a leader or any person in a position of leadership to function as a fiduciary. A fiduciary duty is that which is described when people take their oath of office. Why it's important, what the office is supposed to represent. And many, if not most, forget about the fiduciary duty that's described in the oath the minute they lower their hand. So the fiduciary duty is requiring all chiefs, the non-known, myself, any leader here, the fiduciary duty requires you to behave with the utmost of integrity at all times, be thoughtful in your decision-making at all times, be respectful of the office or the leadership position that you hold, knowing that it's the office that's important and not you. Finally, which we see abridged every day on TV, the fiduciary duty requires the leader to never, ever, ever put his or her personal interests above the interests of the people that they are supposed to be serving. So you might ask, well, how does a fiduciary supposed to know what to do? I'm old school, so I would say that Les McCann answered that for us a long time ago. He wrote a song that says, talk to the people. If you want to know what to do in your fiduciary, just talk to the people. What people? The same people you ran around and begged to vote for you to put you in that office. Just talk to them. And once you talk to the people, some may still query, well, after you talk to the people, what should you do then? Well, those of us that live in Cleveland, we are honored to be in the same city and state with our beloved OJs. The OJs answered this question a long, long time ago. Give the people what they want. So you talk to the people, whatever the people want, it's your job to deliver that, unless it's humanly impossible. But that's what your job is. Obviously, things are easier said than done. And the seduction of the West is so intoxicating and powerful. And I've been to Ghana and Africa, North Africa, West Africa, 60 times since 1992. I've seen lots of chiefs. Nana Noam will attest to this. There are many African chiefs, from my perspective, that think if they mimic the West, the more they mimic the West, the better it is for their people in terms of infrastructure, in terms of progress, in terms for everything. But I disagree with that. I don't think that's the way to go. I believe the traditional leaders, the Nananom, like those that are our revered guests today and others, actually hold the keys to our future. I believe the Nananom have the capacity to Sankofa and rescue those important principles, beliefs, practices that brought the world the kingdoms of old Ghana, Songhai, Mali, and Benin. These are empires much older than the U.S. These things are known, and they have been known and shown to work, that are not any farther from us than our willingness to do some research, open our minds to something that will be humane, and get about the business of working on it. I believe that history clearly documents the Africans provided the original models for what we call civilization today. These are African creations that we call civilization and what it means to be moral and ethical. These are concepts developed by African people. So in closing, Nananom, I beg you to continue this very important work and encourage all of your colleagues to return to the proven beliefs, principles, and practices that defined originally what it meant to be a human being. History proves that Africans did it once, and I believe that together we can do it again. I solemnly pledge at age 76 that I stand ready, willing, and by God's grace, I'll be able to work with anyone in furtherance of bringing about a healthier world for all of us to live in. As my dear friend George Fraser often says, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So Nananom, and to everyone else, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some thoughts at this important time. Nananom, I say Madasi, Madasi, Madasi P. And I am Nana Kra Kwamana II, Tufahine to Nana Eduakwa V in the village of Atonkwa. Atonkwa means I have purchased my freedom. Aton means I have purchased, and Kwa means freedom. I have purchased my freedom. And our village is located in the central region, about 1 mile from the infamous Elmina Dungeon and the Cape Coast Dungeon. And I approve this message.
Thank you very much, Dr. Whitaker, for that inspiring and informative message, a true keynote to lead the path for today. At this time, I will call to the stage Kimberly Johnson for a performance. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause as she makes it to the stage.
I've had enough heartache and enough headache. I've had so many ups and downs. Don't know how much more I can take. See, I've decided that I've cried my last tear yesterday. Either I'm gonna trust you, or I may as well walk away. Stressing don't make it better. Don't make it better, no, no, no way. See, I've decided that I've cried my last tear yesterday. Oh, yesterday. Oh, yesterday. I've decided to put my trust in you. Oh, yesterday, yesterday, I realized that you would bring me through. There ain't nothing that's too hard for my God. No, 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 no. Every problem that I have, He's greater than them all. So I've decided that I've cried my last tear yesterday. Oh, yesterday. Oh, yesterday. Ooh, I've decided to put my trust in you. Oh, yesterday, yesterday, I realized that you would bring me through. Don't you know that there ain't nothing that's too hard for my God? No, no, no. Any problem that I have, He's greater than them all. So I've decided that I've cried my last tear yesterday.
Ooh, it got hot up in here right quick. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you. Let's give her another round of applause for that rendition of yesterday. At this time, we are going to have our award presentations, and I am asking that Mr. Cleo Miller, if you'll come forward and help us with that.
Good evening, everyone. I am Cleophas Miller, Jr., President General of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and the African Communities League. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to actually present and welcome again to our cities Dr. Okatachi Amanfi VII, King, that is, and King Obakasi Ampa I. And we have some proclamations that we want to hand out to them. And a plaque. So if you will please escort them up front so they can receive. Oh, do you? Oh, yes. Before we do that, King Obakasi, would you like to do some remarks? Yes, please come forward.
So you can read these.
Thank you very much. Akwaba. Ago. Ago. All right. I would like to use this opportunity to thank Brother Clifford Smela, the President General of the UNIA, and also Nana Kwamina, the Tufin of Atonkwa, for his very wonderful, insightful remarks moments ago. There's as a better than before I say anything, I would like to do a little thing, an age-old practice. Before we do anything, we invoke the spirit of our African ancestors to be with us. So if you allow me, I'll use a minute to do that. For Kwame, ono kwafo, ya chira nso ya ma nsa, asesefua nsa, asebu abusponsation nsa, ebibimenum abusuminyara wamaje, yanama sunjumi no modom, enfeda na Ghana mampayin President Akufo-Addo. Others are the year for 10 of the party. They make sure that and canon on them to go point the corridor. Yen and be over free her. One banas will be in open a Hebrew. Now, on them the warrior as in, now be man, since we as in tea. And fit a hand and actually no. Yet a wire some crown, yet as we give. And to the animal, one by jet, now one. Yara man mo do na kanko na mpuntu na no asamanfo won baje na won boa yegu jafra okuyin Marcus Gavi ozi the offer we na ebo baza all prede mani ya ebe kampo ya kanko okuyin Gavi nsa Martin Luther King nsa Harriet Tubman nsa Malcolm X nsa Kwame Nkrumah nsa Afi ye friend Bambo yelme yeni anumia wo hanma wa ye kunyin wo ze yin wo prede bonu bia nkotwe na mo wo hi awina nanum wombo wo bone wada yambere bibia to no wombo wo ban okode chama fi asem manra bonu pampa obon kloko wonu su ne daw osa tadwe ana wo ozafra okode chama fi Mabaji wajin banu order Monsel. Afino, yesro, yesakanko, yesabambo, yesima, May Jackson, wajin of Trado, May Jackson, William Yamda William Z, for Wama Club and money, Bonbia, Unsaha. Yafra, Yazima, Nanumia, Bia, Wabiara, one more, one way, was it? Car by Dusu Uncle, the car of Yampera, up and there, what was the few black Sumanti, Anna, Bolivia to our condo. And see, Mother, you banish one piano, Afino, on your cono. Yet was a friend of my papa. Come on, but the son of no way open. one man punch one man can't go. Ask every man, ye pay yemu, obiara nti stop yan, obiara nti musu yan akwan, one boy am banai. Abono so yan hwe ha. One ma jeno fi edo. But that's it. I'm sorry I had to do it in our language, but that's the only way I could have done it. I call for solidarity, I call for protection, I call for the blessings of our African ancestors to keep us in tight, in unity, and to ensure our progress. That this time around, I know what's stopping us. We're moving forward as a people. Victory is coming. When I say, I want you to repeat something after me. Unkunyimizi, Unkunyimizi, Oreba, Unkunyimizi, Oreba. What I mean is victory is coming. Victory is coming. Now, I will use this opportunity to talk about this great man that you're about to interact with. Yanokodachi Amanfi. Okodachi Amanfi is the ruler of Asebu, the king of Asebu. And I don't know if you've heard about the free land in Ghana. It's all over the place. When the president of Ghana decided to launch the Year of 10, His Royal Eminence, Dr. Kalajaman, thought it wise that our people, our brothers and sisters, were taken from the land. So if they are returning, they must and they have to return to land. So he donated 5,000 acres of land for all people of African descent to consider coming back home to. That land is just about 20 minutes from the slave dungeon that Nana talked about moments ago. So for the virtue of your DNA, you already qualify for free land. And I will urge you all to take advantage of this. The UNIA President General is here, Brother Nate Sampson. You know, we have good people here to ensure that you are registered for it. Thank you very much. I wouldn't like to take more of your time. Take advantage of this time. There is a wind blowing. Unkuyimizi, Areba. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read the proclamations here. Proclamation, Office of Mayor Frank G. Jackson, City of Cleveland, Ohio, in recognition of Dr. Okatachi Amanfi VII. Whereas, on behalf of the citizens of the City of Cleveland, I am honored to offer this proclamation in recognition of Dr. Okatachi Amanfi VII as he visits Cleveland, Ohio. And whereas Dr. Okatachi Amanfi VII received his doctoral degree in development studies from the University of Bradford, UK, and he has also held postgraduate certificates of planning and appraisal of industrial investment. Dr. Okatachi Amanfi VII was installed as the Omenihen of Asabu traditional area in 2000. He has been a member of the National House of Chiefs since 2004, and in 2008 was elected as the Vice President of the Central Region House of Chiefs. Currently, he serves as Senior Fellow at the Bureau of Integrated Rural Development, as well as the Coordinator of Education for Substantial Development in Africa. He has recently been appointed on a governing board member of the Central Region Development Commission, and he is a commissioner of the Life National Development Planning Commission as the representative of Central Region. And whereas in the year to come, the citizens of the City of Cleveland and I look forward to the continued development of the relationship Ghana, West Africa, and the City of Cleveland. It is a great honor to welcome Dr. Okatachi Amanfi II to the City of Cleveland and wish him an enjoyable time during his visit. Now, therefore, I, Frank G. Jackson, the 56th Mayor of the City of Cleveland, do hereby offer this proclamation in recognition of Dr. Okatachi Amanfi II. I encourage all citizens to join me in welcoming him to the City of Cleveland. In witness, therefore, I have set my hand and caused the corporate seal of the City of Cleveland to be affixed on this third day of February in the year 2020. Mayor Frank G. Jackson. Okay. Again, the proclamations read the same, except for the whereas. Well, I'll just go through the whole thing. Proclamation, Office of the Mayor Frank G. Jackson, City of Cleveland, in recognition of Nana King Obakasi Amper. Whereas on behalf of the City of Cleveland, I am honored to offer this proclamation in recognition of the Nana King Obakasi Amper as he visited Cleveland, Ohio. And Nana King Obakasi Amper is of the appendice of Asabu, a traditional area, Central Region of Ghana, as well as the Chief Executive Officer for the A Year of Return Legacy Project. Dr. King Obakasi, Nana Obakasi Amper, is a serious entrepreneur with interest in agro and food processing business, entertainment, hospitality, and tourism, media, public relations. Nana currently serves as a financial secretary for the ruling New Patriotic Party for Central Region Historical Theater Festival. For the Central Region of Ghana. He serves as on several boards, including the Cape Coast Development Company and the Pan-African Historical Theater Festival. He is the ambassador and High Commissioner and ambassador of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, as well as the African Community League for Ghana. He has been recognized for his service and has won several awards and citations. And whereas in the year to come, the citizens of the City of Cleveland and I look forward to the continuing development of the relationship between Ghana, West Africa, and the City of Cleveland, it is a great honor to welcome Dr. King Nana Obakasi Amper to the City of Cleveland and wish him an enjoyable time during his visit. Now, therefore, I, Frank G. Jackson, the 56th Mayor of the City of Cleveland, do hereby offer the proclamation in recognition of King Nana Obakasi Amper. I encourage all citizens to join me in welcoming him to the City of Cleveland. In witness, therefore, I have set my hand and caused the corporate seal of the City of Cleveland to be affixed on this third day of February in the year 2020, Mayor Frank G. Jackson. Come on, spread it down this way. We'll take it.
Thank you very much. I can't express my joy this afternoon for joining this August occasion, marking the 100th anniversary of, what do you call it? Black History Month, yeah. I'm excited to be with you and particularly happy with all those awards and listening to the speeches. I get excited. I came here for one reason, and that is to connect Africans here in the US back home. I always say that you belong to Africa, no matter where you find yourself. We are Africans, and so time has come for us to come back home. So when I received the invitation to come to join this occasion, I was excited. I decided to come in spite of all the heavy duties I had to fulfill back at home. I decided to come. The reason is that I have offered land for all Africans everywhere, not necessarily Africans in America, but Africans everywhere to come back home. I always say, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you are going. If you lose your culture, you lose everything. Come back home. Your families are at home. Your birthplace is Africa, and we are inviting you back home. On that, I, on behalf of the government of Ghana, bring greetings from Asebu, from Ghana, and from everywhere. What we have done with the government is to make visa acquisition very easy for anybody wanting to come home. So if you go to the embassy, you'll be given a special treatment to come home. About a month ago, our president offered dual citizenship to about 120 African Americans who are in Ghana now. So as Obukase Ampa said, change is coming. Now is the time. You can't waste this time. We invite you back home. Come home and join your brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for this honor. Thank you.
To our keynote speaker, Dr. Whitaker, we thank you today for those inspiring words. We want to thank you for your leadership and your tenacity. On behalf of the Black History Committee, we'd like to thank you, Dr. Whitaker, for all that you have done for us here in this city of Cleveland and abroad. Thank you, and God bless.
Do I want to say a couple closing words? I will share that I've never met a microphone that I didn't like. What I would like to say in closing, that maybe Drake was right when he said, I started on the bottom and now I'm here.
Thank you all again. Thank you for being here. Before we close out today, I want to acknowledge our sponsors by name. We have Tri-C, the Cleveland Browns, First National Bank, Margaret Wong and Associates, the Department of Public Utilities, the Department of Health, and I'm missing the Department of Port Control, and I pray I'm not missing anyone else. I've been flubbing all day, so pardon me if I have. Let me check one thing. I think I've named everyone. If I did, it is, please forgive my head, not my heart. Thank you all. If you are available, as the director indicated, this evening we will be gathering at Karamu House at 6 p.m. and we will be discussing the opportunities, as the Kings have mentioned, available in Ghana, and we will have individuals from Cleveland who have recently made their trek to the motherland, and they are going to come back with their words of wisdom to encourage us all to make the journey to Africa. We also have listed in your program books all of the events that are going on throughout the month. We have a lot of information that we are trying to impart on our employees, residents, and anyone who is open to hearing. They are usually between noon and 1:30 here in the rotunda. So if you have time, come on out and enjoy what we have to offer. Have a great day, a wonderful week, and be careful. Thank you again.